Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hope all of you are doing well. Hope all of you rested well. You're welcome again to our IIPM training for the day. This was what we started in the day with at 9 o'clock in the morning, our GHRM training. Hope everybody enjoyed the first half of the sessions. We are now open up to this. We are now starting the new one, the evening transmission. So I won't talk too much. I'll go straight to the point. This is the Human Resource Management Training course. And this morning you heard two presenters, two lecturers, Mr. Banito Eburuche. You also had Mr. Chidike Namani. He's going to start today. He's going to start off this afternoon. He's going to start us off this afternoon. And I'll quickly go through his dossier again one more time before I call him up. Mr. Chidike Namani. He's the head business operations, CFS West Africa Limited, strategic partner, IIPM. He has 12 years of working experience in communications, human capacity development, project management, customer experience consulting, business operations, business development and research, leadership, and career coach. He has a Bachelor's of Arts degree, second class upper, Mass Communication, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Masters of Science degree, Mass Communication, Public Relations, and Advertising, University of Lagos. Certified Human Resource Management Professional, Certified Executive Leadership Development Expert, currently taking a Customer Experience Specialist CSX certification course of the CX University, Pennsylvania, USA, attending trainings on super service, project management, and more, member, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, Nigeria. So without wasting any of your time, I'd like to call to the podium, although it's an invisible podium, Mr. Chidike Namani.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jimmy.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the evening session of this training. Okay, I'll be starting the training, and I'm going to be Mr. Banito is going to take it from wherever I'm going to stop. So the plan is from now till 5 o'clock. Once it's 5 o'clock, we go on a break. A brief, not really a break, a question and answer session, like 5 minutes, and Mr. Banito will take it from there. Okay, basically, I just want to be sure that everybody can hear me. Please, can you raise your hand if you can hear me? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I've seen the hands. Okay, thanks. Okay, in the morning, we focused on defining human resource management. We looked at the scope.
Hold down your hands now, thank you.
Yeah, we looked at the scope and we looked at the processes. And this evening, we're going to start from the skills in human resource, skills of human resource professionals. And please, it's very important to emphasize again that this is the level 1 of a 3-level course. So that explains why we're taking time to discuss the foundational areas. Of course, we understand that there are people here that are already experienced in human resource management. We understand that people that already have master's degree in human resource management. But because this is level 1, we're taking our time to provide these foundational definitions and concepts, because there are a good number of people here that either because of career switch or because they want to acquire new skills are taking human resource management course for the first time. So it's very important that we provide them this information. So I'm sure that as we proceed and as we get to the other levels, level 2 and level 3, it will become more practical. And we're going to also try as much as possible to also provide case studies and all that at this level 1. Okay, now we're looking at the various skills of HR professionals. I also want to be sure that you can see my screen. Mr. Rola, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can see your screen well, loud and clear.
Okay. So we're looking at the skills, and there are 4 skills that we have outlined here, and we're going to take time to look at each of them. The first one is HR skills. The second one is decision-making skills. The third one is technical skills, and the fourth one is leadership skills. Now, HR skills, HR managers are required to know how people play a role in the organization, an advantage against the competition, as well as the policies, programs, etc. Today's HR professional must be skilled at communicating, negotiating, and team development. Okay, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it in a bad way, especially for those that are already practicing. I have had experience, or I've observed situations where HR professionals act as if they are doing people favors, especially when they are going through the process of recruitment, when they're inviting people for interviews and all that. A lot of HR professionals, from my experience, act as if they are doing the people a favor. Now, like we established in the morning, HR role is a very strategic one, and we understand that the organization's goals and objective will not be accomplished if the organization fails to hire right. So a lot of HR people, they don't take their time to communicate well. They put the people that come for interviews under pressure. They treat them, like, I'm doing you a favor. It's either I schedule this meeting, I schedule this interview for 12 noon. It's either you're here or you forget about it. I think it is very, very important that as a HR person, you should learn the skills that are required in communicating, in negotiation, in team development. So it is very, very important. I've also experienced some other HR people that also understand this part, that they understand that, okay, I am hiring someone and it's because the organization needs this person. Especially in the case where the person is like headhunting, the person is working somewhere else and you're trying to get the person to work for the organization. The person comes and say, I'm busy so time. Can we do weekend? Can we do? So one of the skills that we need to learn how to be flexible. We need to understand that at the end of the day, we're trying to get the best talent for the organization so that we can help the organizations accomplish their goals and objectives and all the business strategies which require humans to accomplish. Then the second skill is decision-making skills. Like we also mentioned earlier, because there are a whole lot of decisions that a HR person is required to make, working with the management executives or the C-suites executive as the case may be, it is required that the HR person learn how to make good decisions. It's a HR manager should take a variety of decisions that affect whether employees are qualified and motivated and whether the organization is operating efficiently and complying with the law. This requires knowledge of the organization's line of business and decisions must take into account social and ethical implication of the alternatives. So it means that a HR person is not just someone, we have established that the role is very strategic in accomplishing the organization goals. It's not just someone that just put out adverts out there, just bring in people. So the whole lot of, during that selection process, the whole lot of decision that you have to make, and even after people are employed, to also be able to manage them, the whole lot of decisions that are required. Even in appraisal processes, usually when it gets to the level where the managers need to take decisions, the HR person is fully involved because even when the different managers have given their assessment about the employees or under them or their underlines or the people that they manage, usually decisions are usually required from the HR either to agree or to disagree with the manager. So it is very, very important that as a HR person, you need to acquire the decision-making skills. The third one is technical skills. Technical skill is basically talking about professional competencies. Of course, we understand the way the world works now. We understand that things change every day. COVID-19 is a case in study. We understand that even if you had, especially for those of us that have acquired knowledge, we've gone to school, we've done, it is very important that we keep reinventing ourselves. It is very important that we keep being aware of the changes. The slide said in HRM, professionals need knowledge of state-of-the-art practices in such areas as staffing, development, rewards, organizational design, etc. So it doesn't matter our qualifications, even if we have PhD in human resource management, just like every other body of knowledge, just that like every other area of career, there are a whole lot of things that change on a daily basis. And we should be able to learn and unlearn and relearn as the case may be. So as a HR person, you should also be open to reinvent yourself, to improve on your skills, to look at the trends and understand what you need to do. The final one regarding the skills of HR professional is leadership skill. Now, when we continue this, and like we've also mentioned earlier, because of the strategic role that a HR professional or HR manager or people manager plays in the organization, it is also expected that the person displays leadership skills, especially since you're going to be managing human resources. And for me, I think that is one of the most difficult aspect of the business to manage, right? When you have your processes intact, it will just run on its own. Your technology, if you get them rights from the onset, they are going to work on their own. But the human beings that you need to be able to operate those technologies and every other thing that you need to do to run the organization, you need to learn how to manage them. Like we mentioned earlier, traditionally, when it is just about activities, you just have a set of do's and don'ts. You're just looking at the organization's policies and operations, and you're just dealing people based on that. But if you're going to be a leader as a HR person, you're supposed to come to the level of the people. You're supposed to understand them. Understand that at the end of the day, these people are required to accomplish the objectives and the goals of the organization. You know, like we said earlier in the morning, we have this set of professionals called customer experience professionals. And one of the areas that they are driving now is the employee experience. And sometimes when I listen to them, I'll be like, this is actually what our HR managers and people managers should be doing. But it looks like this customer experience people, they're basically trying to say that for you to be able to give your customers good experience, you need to be able to satisfy your staff. You need to be able to understand your employees' pain points. You need to really pay attention to them. Sometimes, especially at the executive level, we sit down and we'll do all the strategies, we do all the policies, and most of the times, we are not the ones that actually interface with the customers. And a lot of the times, we're not the ones that walk in the shoes of the customer because we don't even understand. We just have documents that we just put out there. So these people are saying, even when you're trying to do your surveys, you're trying to understand what the customers want, you should also talk to the employees, these people that are attending to the customers. What exactly do the customers want? What are the areas of pain points? What are the areas that they are having challenges? So you can factor that into your process. And I expect that if you're a HR person, a manager, a people's manager, a team lead, and all that. You should also consider this. Okay, the next slide is emerging HRM functions. And here are some of the emerging HRM functions. We have established that the contemporary HR is no longer like the HR that we used to know. Now, one of the functions, and I've actually seen it a lot in adverts, because what I noticed is that once something becomes a buzzword, once something starts trending, you find out that different sectors, different organizations start using that. You find out that the CEOs, the COOs, and all that will start trying to find out what that is about. And before you know it, that is what everybody is talking about. Now, I see adverts, and when they want to hire, especially head of human resource management, they will say strategic partner, human resource, or human resource management. So it's no longer just human resource manager. It is now strategic partner. So one of the emerging functions is business and strategic partner. He said HR managers contribute to the development of the organization, realization of business plans, and achievement of objectives. Because at the end of the day, it's all about people. So a HR manager is a strategic partner. He or she is not just in the organization just to manage payroll, just to recommend trainings for staff. The person is also a strategic partner. The person is also supposed to understand the overall strategy. You know, usually, even when an organization has a business strategy, then it's also expected that the HR department should also have a HR strategy. And basically, what are you doing in HR strategy? You're trying to see how you can help the organization achieve their strategies using human resources. So a HR person has become not just someone that is involved in the activities, in the administrative jobs, in the set of do's and don'ts. So one of the emerging functions is that a HR manager is a business and strategic partner. Then the second one is the employee advocate. You know, like we said earlier, like we said in the morning, a HR manager is supposed to stand between the employees and the employers. So the idea is that the HR manager understands that for the organizations to be able to achieve whatever objective, whatever goals that they have documented, people are at the center of it all. And the HR person, even when the CEO, when the COO, when the top executives are not looking at these things, the HR person is supposed to come to the level where he or she understands the employees and is able to understand what the organization is required to do to be able to motivate the employees to deliver for the organization. So HR managers have to serve as advocates of the employees. It means that they have to create a work environment in which the employees are motivated, contributing, and happy. So at the end of the day, what we want is results. If creating a good environment, if whatever you have to do to motivate staff to contribute, whatever you have to do to make them happy, at the end of the day, it is about the return on investment. At the end of the day, it's about how do you maximize these people. At the end of the day, you want to be able to motivate them so that they are not just people that come and they just take their job descriptions and they're just not there to do their job. You need to get to a level where they start showing ownership of the business, of the organization. And HR managers, people managers, have a whole lot of roles to play in this area. So it's not just the job of the CEO or the COO or the CFO or the C executives. So it's very, very important that we understand that this is one of the emerging HRM functions. The last one is the change champion. And he said HR managers have to be change agents, thus requiring them to acquire knowledge about the ability to execute successful change strategies in the organization. this cannot be overemphasized. People, people, people. So even when organizations have, even when there's a change that the organization is trying to adopt, for instance, this COVID-19, a whole lot of things have changed. People have to work from home. People have to maybe take salary cuts and all that. The organization may have to downsize and all that. So it's not just the sole decision of the COO or the CEO, as the case may be. So it's saying that the HR manager have to become the change agent. And what that means is that the HR person requires the knowledge and the ability to execute successful change strategies. Understanding that even if they have those business strategies, they need people to drive them. And the HR person serves as a change champion to ensure that the organization is able to drive those changes. Okay, now the next area where I'm going to look at is the difference between personnel management and HRM. Now we say that personnel management is essentially workforce centered, whereas human resource management is resource centered. I understand that a lot of public sectors, except for a few parastatals, are workforce centered. You said, let's understand the various difference between the personnel management and human resource management. Okay, said personnel management, traditionally, the term personnel management was used to refer to set of activities concerning the workforce, which included staffing, payroll, contractual obligations, and other administrative tasks. In this respect, personnel management encompasses the range of activities that are to do with managing the workforce rather than resources. So at the end of the day, what personnel management is emphasizing, just like the traditional definition of HRM, is activities, is administration. It's about a set of activities: staffing, payroll, contractual obligations, and other administrative tasks. So it's not necessarily about the people, it is just about being able to accomplish the administrative tasks. The personnel manager's main job is to ensure that the needs of the workforce as they pertain to their immediate concern are taken care of. Further, personnel managers typically play the role of mediator between them and the employee, and hence there was always the feeling that personnel was not in tune with the objectives of the management. Let's look at the difference now. Now, we say that human resource management, with the advent of resource-centric organization in recent decades, resource-centric, that is where the organizations understand that human beings are resources and treat them so. It has become imperative to put people first, like we have been saying, employee experience, people first, as well as secure management objectives of maximizing return on investment. Yeah, at the end of the day, the businesses are there to make money. At the end of the day, it's about return on investment. But we need to understand that one of the competitive advantages that we can have as an organization is our people. If we build an organization where we're able to attract and retain quality talent, it is a competitive advantage. But if you have a situation where you just have people come in and you train them, and the next thing, a competitor will poach them and they will go. Sometimes it's not necessarily just because about the pay. It is about a whole lot of other things, the work-life balance, a whole lot of other things, the level of participation that that is allowed, and all that. So it is very, very important that the human resource managers, the human resource professionals, the people managers, the team managers understand this. He said that this has led to development of the modern HRM function, which is primarily concerned with ensuring the fulfillment of management objectives and at the same time ensuring that the needs of the resource are taken care of. In this way, HRM differs from personnel management not only in its broader scope, but also in the way in which its mission is defined. HRM goes beyond the administrative tasks of personnel management and encompasses a broad vision of how management will like the resources to contribute to the success of the organization. I think we have explained this a lot, so we're going to move on to the next one. In this slide, we'll be looking at HRM practices, job analysis, and job design. Now, there are a few key concepts involved in defining a job, which is a key role of HRM. So now, I would like us to pay attention when we start explaining each practice. Or I would like us to pay attention to the major features of each one, because if care is not taken, you may confuse one for the other. So the first one is job analysis. Remember that this is part of the roles of a HRM person. You know, like I said in the morning, you may have situations where you go into an organization and you already have all these things and you're just going to inherit them. But because disruptions keep happening, because things keep changing, you are also supposed to keep reinventing these things. And what if you are employed in an organization, maybe it is a startup, they've never had a HR department, and all of a sudden they get you to come and start a HR department. So that is why it is very important that we understand that these are the roles and the skills that are required of us and the practices. So this one said job analysis is a systematic exploration, study, and recording the responsibilities, duties, skills, accountabilities, work, environment, and ability requirement of a specific job. It also involves determining the relative importance of the duties, responsibilities, physical and emotional skills for a given job. All these factors identify what a job demands and what an employee must possess to perform a job productively. So usually before a HR person goes out and starts looking for resources or for talent for a particular job role, it is required that you do a job analysis. And in the job analysis is where you're looking at the skills, the accountability, the work and ability requirements for that specific job. And in job analysis, you're also determining the relative importance of the duties, the responsibilities, the physical and emotional skill for a given job. So it is important that you learn how to analyze a job when there's a job role. There are even times when you have some organizations for years. You have situations where some organizations confuse things like marketing and sales. Over time, some people start saying, okay, communications and marketing. Over time, some start calling it corporate communications and all that. You're going to always have that. Sometimes it's the same thing, but just different nomenclatures. So it's dependent on the HR professional to be able to say, okay, this particular job role, these are the requirements, and the person is able to analyze it and now be able to document it. So the next practice is job description. And I know that we're very conversant with job description because that is the one that the HR managers usually put out there when they are advertising and opening. It's a job description includes basic job related data that is useful to advertise a specific job and attract a pool of talent. It includes information such as job title, job location, reporting to, that's who the person will be reporting to, and reporting to and of employees, job summary, nature and objectives of a job, tasks and duties to be performed, working conditions, machines, tools, and equipment to be used by a prospective worker, and hazards involved in it. So this is job description, and it's expected that a HR person is able to put a job description together, because the CEO or the CEO may just come and say, okay, we're looking to hire a digital marketer, and you're expected to to put a job description together for a digital marketer and then push it to the corporate communication guys to advertise. So it is very important that you're conversant with this. Then job specification. I also think that I think I've seen a couple of adverts where apart from the job apart from the job descriptions, they also added job specifications. But even if they don't add it in the advert, it is also one of the things that is expected, because by the time the person comes in, you're also expected to the person also expected to, okay, I think it's majorly used for adverts because he said it's also known as employee specification. A job specification is written statement of educational qualification, specific qualities, level of experience, physical, emotional, technical, and communication skills required to perform a job. Responsibilities involved in a job and other unusual sensory demands. It also includes general health, mental health, intelligence, aptitude, memory, judgment, leadership skills, emotional ability, adaptability, flexibility, values, and ethics. So for a comprehensive job advert, you're going to have both job description and job specification. The last one is job design. He said that job design follows job analysis. Job analysis was the first one that we discussed. And he said it's the next step after job analysis. It aims at outlining and organizing tasks, duties, and responsibility into a single unit of work for the achievement of certain objective. It also outlines the method and relationship that are essential for the success of a certain job. It is simpler term. In its simpler term, it refers to the what, how much, how many, and the order of the tasks for a job or jobs. Okay, so we're just going to look at training and development briefly, and we're going to stop by 5 o'clock, and we're going to take questions before we proceed. Training and development. Of course, we have discussed that that's one of the major roles of a HR manager, of a people manager. Training is a planned effort to facilitate the learning of a job-related skill, knowledge, and behavior by employees. Development is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and behaviors that improve an employee's ability to meet changes in job requirements. So the following are the considerations need to be taken into account when a HR professional tries to access the training and development needs of the employees of an organization. Remember, like we said earlier, we're providing the basic information. When we get to level 2 and level 3, we're going to be discussing some of these things in details. Now, these are some of the consideration as a HR professional. These are the things that you need to put into account when you're doing your training evaluation, your training needs assessment, as some organizations call it. You need to consider, is this training going to be focused on current job skills or future job skills? Are you looking at improving their employees to be able to develop on their current job skills? Or are you looking at a future job skills? Could it be that someone has been doing the brick and mortar kind of marketing or the regular kind of marketing, and now this person is very good, but this person needs to be trained to become a digital marketer? In that sense, so you're doing this analysis, you're putting this into consideration. Then the second one is individual orientation or group orientation. So are you is this for an individual or for a group or for a team, as the case may be? Then the next consideration is train few employees or train all employees. Train few employees or train all employees. So depending, that's part of the things you're going to be looking at are the needs, training needs and analysis. Is it just few employees that require these skills, or is it a skill that all employees should have? For instance, you're doing a training on basic customer service skills. Are you just, is it going to just to be the team in customer service department, or do you think that every employee requires basic customer service skills? After all, customers are the bloodline of a business. So if you train just your customer service, the customer facing staff, and your back office people don't understand that the reason why the organization is in business is because of customers. So you need to consider that, okay, is this kind of training, even though it's customer service, even though it's marketing, is it really just necessary for the people in the marketing department? After all, every staff of an organization is supposed to be a representative of that organization and is expected to market at some level. So this is one of the consideration. Then you need to consider, is it a spontaneous unplanned training or systematic planned training? Is it something like there's a training calendar? Like organizations, every year they'll have a training calendar. Sometimes they will talk to staff and try to understand their training needs and ask their managers to make recommendations. And based on that, they will prepare a training calendar. But some other times, something may come up. You know, we're talking about COVID-19. All of a sudden, people are expected to work from home. All of a sudden, you have staff members that you want to get involved. Maybe you're trying to diversify, because if you continue to offer the same services, the same product that you were offering before COVID-19, you might not be able to sell, you might not be able to make money. And now this is spontaneous. These are the same resources that you have, and COVID-19 has disrupted your systematic and planned training. And on your foot, you're expected to come up with the kind of training that you think that these people need. And for a proper organization, for a well-structured organizations, we understand that some organizations that are not structured don't take these processes. But the truth is that for a well-planned organization, the CEO or the COO is going to ask the HRM to manage this process. So that is one of the things, that is one of the considerations when it comes to training and development. I think I have just 9 minutes to 5 o'clock. I'll just take this one. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it before we take our questions and continue. The role of HRM in performance management. Now it's been established that one of the major roles, one of the major jobs of a HR manager, people manager, is performance management. When you employ people, you're supposed to appraise them depending on the structure of the organization, depending on the approach. You're supposed to appraise their performance periodically. Some people do biannually, some people do quarterly, as the case may be. And HRM and a people manager plays a very important role in ensuring a seamless performance management process. He says performance management is the process of reviewing an employee's performance during the preceding year or cycle and deciding where he or she stands as far as their peers in the same band are concerned. This is why you're going to be determining, does this person meet his KPIs? Does this person meet expectation or perform below expectations and all that? And you're going to now start deciding if this person needs promotion, if this person needs bonuses, if this person needs a demotion, as the case may be. So it's a very important aspect. So performance management is all about the process of reviewing results, arriving at a rating, and then deciding upon the bonus or salary hike. But it's not just salary hike. There are also times when you can ask people to go if you think that they are not performing and you've done all you have to do. Okay, so typically the process of performance management starts a month or two before the appraisal cycle ends. Like I will always say, there's no hard and fast rule. There's a general principle, which is that performance management should happen. Even if you're running a small organization, you're expected to assess your people. But there's no hard and fast rule to it. Some other organizations will say a month, some other organizations will say 2. But what is important is that you need to do performance management. You need to appraise your people. The appraisal cycle can be half yearly or yearly, right? Like I said earlier, depending on the policies of the organization. You say in the same vein, it can be half yearly as well. Okay, you say further, the appraisal cycle can be based on the calendar year or the financial year. That's the calendar year, the 12 months, the financial year where you have some organizations start their year, I think around September, October. So depending on the organization's policies, depending on their internal procedures and all that, it can run from January to December of the same year or April to March of the following year. At the end of the day, like I said, there's no hard and fast rule. What is important is that you have a system in place. If you like, you can do it monthly if you think that it's worth it. If you like, you can do it quarterly. But the one I'm conversant with is biannually. That is after every 6 months. Okay, appraisal process. There are different rounds to the appraisal process, and we're going to look at each of them in details. Okay, in the first round, the people who participate in an employee's appraisal are the employee and his manager. So at this level, it is the employee and his manager, where the manager, depending on the style of the organization, where the usually you have an appraisal form where you first of all give it to the employees using different parameters based on their defined KPIs, and you're asking them to assess themselves. They should rate themselves. So at this first level is between the employee and his manager. In this round, the manager gives the frank assessment of the employee after giving a chance to the employee to self-assess himself. So the manager first gives the employee the opportunity to frankly assess himself or herself, as the case may be. And after that, the manager will now take it and look at the ratings from the employee. In some KPIs, in some parameters, he may agree. In some others, he may disagree. But that is the first level. Then the second level is, he said the second round consists of the rating from the manager and the manager's manager. So that is where, depending on how the structure and the capacity of that organization, that is where you may have like group heads and all that. Even though you have departmental manager, there's a group head. So he said this round is mostly about deciding the band in which the employees falls, post the rating, and in comparison with his or her peers. This process of rationalizing the employee's performance with the others is normalization. So at this point is the manager and the manager's manager, where the manager takes the results from the appraisal that happened between him and the employee, and he goes to discuss it with his own manager, as the case may be. In some other organization, you may not have that second level. If you don't have group managers, if you don't have COOs, maybe it's an organization where it is just the CEO, maybe because it's a small organization. So at that point, the team lead or the manager, as the case may be, may not have another manager. The person may just go directly to the COO or the CEO. Now, this is the third level. It's in some organizations, this takes place in the third round where the HR manager is involved as well. And let me say that HR manager is actually involved from the beginning, because it's the HR manager that will even actually send out a notice, send out a schedule, and say that within so period of time, these are the activities that will happen in our appraisal, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, he will be the one that will collate everything. So the HR is involved from the beginning. The HR person is actually the coordinator of the appraisal process, working with the top executives, the managers, the team leads, and all that. He said, in any case, the ratings cannot be decided without the HRM manager's assent to the same. Once these rounds are over, the bonus level or the salary hike are decided. So, like I said earlier, the cycle will not be complete without the HR manager at the center of it. Because at the end of the day, my own personal experience is that after the first two levels, the third level will be where the CEO, the COO, the managers, the HR manager, and other managers will be in the conference room and they are discussing each staff. And sometimes it takes like 2 days. Of course, that's a more traditional way of doing it. And I'm sure that they are more they are more improved or better ways. But at the end of the day, the HR manager is at the center of it. So that is why it is important that the HR person, a people manager, is acquainted with appraisal process. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. I'm just going to read those comments, and we're actually going to discuss it. And that is how we're going to. He said it has been found that the performance management process, as it exists in many organizations, leaves a lot to be desired. That means there a whole lot of improvement that is required. He said, in fact, surveys and studies have found that the majority of employees who quit organizations do so because of difference over their ratings. In other words, attrition is in many cases a direct consequence. That's at the rate at which employees leave organizations. He said it is in many cases a direct consequence of the way in which the performance management process is managed. This happens because personal biases and prejudices affect the process. In many cases, if the manager and the employee do not see eye to eye on many issues, the appraisal and the ratings are the place where the difference of opinion comes out into the open. Now, I would like us to discuss this. Like someone talked about in the morning, office politics. These things are there, and this is reality. No matter how beautiful the processes, the policies are well documented, as long as human beings are involved, there are going to be prejudices, there are going to be biases. So the approach I would like us to take, we're going to make it participatory. If you raise your hand, Mr. Banito or Mr. Rolayo will unmute you. But basically, we're looking at how do you deal with personal biases and prejudices in the workplace, especially regarding appraisal. So that is what I would like us to discuss. Then we can take more questions and we can, Mr. Banito will take it from there. Thank you very much for your time. So Mr. Rolayo, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Chidike. I appreciate the lecture. It was fantastic. I'm sure everybody had a lot of value addition in this. Performance appraisals, performance management, job analysis, job specification, job description. He really did a lot of justice to all this, and then how the performance management system must work, the steps, where does HR come in, where does the participants come in, and a lot of things. And he also emphasized the fact that when the staff is properly motivated, they will be able to impact the customer better, which is the end of the of the reason why we're in business. So I'd like to ask anyone if there's anyone that wants to contribute towards personal biasments in performance appraisal. If you have any experiences or how you have been dealing with your biasments. I can see that Mr. Oluseyi Simon, his hands are up. So I will unmute him right now to contribute. So, sir, you want to answer our questions?
All right, good evening, sir.
Personal biasments, office biasments, or office politics in performance appraisal sessions.
All right, good evening, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chidike.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, like you've explained in the session you just finished taking, I believe that the appraisal process goes through different stages, you know, from the direct manager to the employee, manager's manager, the HR and CFO, and all of these things. So I think to manage biases, one of the other things that can be included, aside from this traditional way, could be maybe employees appraising other employees. That way, I believe that way, the whosoever that is having the bias indication will be somehow low when it has gone through a lot of stages. At least the result would have been there before it gets to whosoever is on top, and that bias might not be easy to exercise. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
so employee appraisal.
Yeah. Yes, then in the digital age that we are approaching, I believe there are going to be systems and structures that will handle all of these appraisers in order to put aside human biases and prejudices. But I think another thing that I want to say is that in the HRM department, we don't have the HRM manager alone there.
Yeah.
So professionally, I believe that when an appraiser is coming up and you as a professional HR manager HR manager knows that you are likely to exhibit prejudice in making some judgment and some of the things, I think it is better you step aside for the person next to you to, you know, assess such a stuff so that you don't allow your personal interest to get in the way of the organizational growth. That's
okay.
my input. Thank
you. That's up to the manager now to make such a decision. Thank you very much. Yes. I appreciate the contribution. Thank you. Okay, next person is May Henshaw. Oh,
yeah,
you want to answer something?
Mr. Rolayo, okay, no, let's just take one more contribution and we'll go to questions because of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or if you have a contribution or question, you could actually ask now. So.
They just called.
May Henshaw.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Am I being heard?
Yeah, heard clearly, very clearly.
Okay. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of managers shy away from performance management, probably because they don't want to get in the bad books of the employer. I don't know. But this bias can be eliminated by being very, very straightforward from the beginning. Now, if you're an ethical leader, you're going to be playing by the books, meaning everything is on the placard, everything is bare. So you talk to the employee based on what is in front of you. So that way, I don't think there's anything to hide. You're trying to let the person know what is expected of the person in the period being appraised. So if someone doesn't go well or not doing well, it's just normal for you to try to put the person through and then direct the person back on course. So I don't know why some managers shy away from performance management.
Thank you very much. That's a contribution, but you ended up with also a question. Well, Mr. Chidike. Okay, does anybody have any? I think she was actually making a contribution that the reason why managers shy away from performance management is because they don't let everything bare. Any questions, please? Okay, I'm going to talk to Mr. Solomon Rabo. Please, we want some questions. You can unmute yourself, Mr. Solomon Rabo. I've unmuted you from here. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
All right, now, nice lecture taken. Now, contribution yet before my question. Now, the contribution
Okay, as long as
is...
you make it snappy, because we have only about 5 minutes altogether now for everything.
Now, the one thing I come to discover is the management sets the role, but at the play of the game, they still felt they go by the rule. Then, at the end of the day, they want to appraise on what they set, which they are number one at default. Now, it causes conflict whereby they have interest in some of the staff who are not playing according to what they have earlier said, and then want to default it to those who are actually being potential. Now, one thing I'm trying to view here is it will be good if at the time of this appraisal, having an external, maybe a consultant who will just come and do this and go, who knows nobody in the setup of the entity. Because if management are to do it, they're going to be doing, no, I like this person, I don't like this person. So there's going to be a conflict of interest. But if you are bringing an external person who does know who, I think it's going to give them the actual result at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Okay. However, if, as the last speaker, I can't remember her name, May Henshaw said, if things are clear, if it's clear, this is your goal. Goals have been set. Things are numeric, clear, figures. If you're a salesperson, marketing person, figures. Everything is clear. Everybody knows what is happening. Employee and employer have agreed. I don't think there can be any embarrassment. But because bringing a consultant in at this time might be an extra cost to the system. But it's okay. It might also work. I want to call on Mr. Davidson Lucas.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. My question is actually founded upon a personal experience. Let me give you an idea of what I do. I actually head a school, and the school is about just less than 2 years. I'm the pioneer administrator. You know, popularly called the head of school, as it were. So I took up this job to start the school when there was basically no enrollment. As a matter of fact, I only met the structure. Yes, sir?
Oh, sorry, you are breaking, sorry.
Okay, yeah. I said, I took up this job. Can you hear me clearly, sir, now?
I can hear you now.
All right, yeah. I took up this job when the school has not started at all. I only met the structure and then some spatial furniture. So every other thing in this school presently up to date were my brainchild. You know, they came from my vast experience, initiative, putting the curriculum together, and you know, even down to designing or coming up with the school vision, mission statement, the philosophy, and all that. Because the owner of the schools, they are not educationists. So I came in, and then you know, the school took off, and under 2 years, it's not even up to 1.5 years, the school got approval by virtue of my influence, and the school is resided in Lagos here. And we have enrollment upward increased and all of that. I remember that by the time we were having the interview, my employer told me, okay, as part of because they were not willing to, maybe due to financial restraints, they were not willing to meet my demands in terms of salary. They promised that, okay, for every child that is enrolled, I'm going to get a commission, I'm going to get this and that. And then they also promised to give me an apartment, which is situated inside the school. And they also promised me quite a number of things. But I tell you, up till now, there's nothing that has been said about my performance, about my remuneration. The house they promised me, they never gave it to me, only for me to find out that much later, an employee who came in that said maybe something looking for accommodation, they gave that same apartment to a staff that is junior to me, who has never brought one child.
Did all this agreement, was it documented?
Yeah,
was it documented?
Unfortunately, they were not documented.
Oh, then it's your word against theirs. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So unfortunately, they were not.
That's a blessing for all of us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they were not documented. But now, my question now is, so if we have a policy that is written that salary increase and all of those things, benefits will be stringently tied to how much a teacher or an employee contributes to the growth of the development. And we know that in the school business, it's all about the number of enrollments. The more children we have, the more, our purse of revenue increases and all of that. And as far as the number of the school is concerned, 23% of the pupils registered, enrolled in the school directly came from me. So how do I go about this? Yes, sir. My employer has refused to review my salary or even to give me any form of compensation or benefits or thereabouts. So how do I manage this? If at understanding right now, I have directly contributed to 23% increment in the present enrollment. How do I handle such kind of situation? Thank you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
I think Mr. Rolayo is having.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's.
All right. Well, that's my question. That's my question, and I would really appreciate if I can get insight as to how to handle the situation, because ultimately, I would say that I'm not happy with the situation, and to a large extent, is not motivating me to bring the best of my performance to the table, because I feel like I've been betrayed.
Okay, Mr. Davidson, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, just like Mr. Roller said earlier, I'm going to attempt to answer your question, then Mr. Banito will come in. Like
Okay,
Mr. Roller said earlier, is a lesson for all of us and to you.
Okay.
Yeah, because usually when employers, when they are headhunting, when they want to get in a very good talent, usually they make a whole lot of promises. And if these things are not documented, it is actually hard to contest it, right? When it gets to this level where you're dissatisfied, apparently, and it is your word against theirs because it is not documented. But the other thing I'm also going to say is, depending on, I don't know, the kind of people that you're dealing with, I don't know, because have you exhausted different means of communication? Have you tried to have one-on-one? Have you done an email trying to detail your grievances and your dissatisfaction and all that? Have you explored that?
Yes, twice I have. And then it's just how do I put it? Flimsy excuses, and there was not just a particular reason why such behavior was put up, or why they went back on their decision, or why they turned back on their promises or thereabouts. So it's just like, just being dribbled. I remember that one of the days when I was talking about mentioning regarding the house, the accommodation they promised, because that was supposed to be like a compensation for the salary cuts, based on what I was expecting. And then they had to tell me the house and blah, 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 blah. You were just playing me. And then at the end of the day, they ended up giving me loan to pay my accommodation, only for me to be paying back from my salary.
All right, Mr. Davidson,
Yes, sir.
It's bad news. It's sad news. We're sorry to hear such poor behavior from employers.
Yes.
It's also, as we have said before, it just shows that we have to have a contract. A contract can be taken to court. They can be sued. They can be, you can get legal justice. But because you don't have a contract right now, you can't do anything. But the only good thing is that you've set up good standards. You have a good CV. So you can actually, if you are not happy with the way they are treating you, get another job based on your experience and abilities. It's not all loss. So keep your performance levels high, and be on the lookout for better people who will listen to you and follow agreements, and please make sure they are documented. I'm sorry I cannot go any further. We cannot move on from here. Quite a few hands are up on the chat. People have questions they want to ask. People have been asking me to call on them. Unfortunately, it's the time period is over. We've actually overspent it. I'd like to call on again the program director of the institute, Mr. Buruche Banito. He's been waiting online to continue from where Dr. TDK started from. Stopped, sorry. So please, he's going to take the next couple of presentations that will take it to the end. Maybe at the end we'll have some time to ask some more questions and give some more announcements. So without wasting any further time, I'd like to introduce again the very experienced, the quality lecturer, Mr. Banito Buruche. Thank you. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olayo. That was awesome. And well done, Dr. TDK, for the work well done. I want to once again appreciate everyone for being part of this evening class. And I trust we would have learned something. For me, I think I'll just go straight to my class. But I'm trying to get some things for us to watch. I think these things will help us. The last class was focusing more on the HR practices. And we looked at the training and development, the job description, job analysis, job specification, and all of those stuff. I want to say that that is one of the major areas, or those are the major areas of human resource management. The job, having to analyze jobs, having to describe jobs, and also having to get job specifications. Those are very important aspects. And if you are a project, or perhaps if you are a HR manager and you don't know how to go about those things, then there is an issue. Okay, quickly, if you can see my screen, this is a comedy and I need you to watch this comedy. Now, I want you to do appraisal on this stuff. It's a comedy, right? But I need you to do appraisal on this stuff and appraise this whole process, okay? Please, if the volume is so high from your end, you could help me reduce it. I will try and reduce mine from here so that it doesn't exclude someone's ear. Okay, so this is stuff, this is cool. Let's find out what happens here. Let's know what to say. Just a moment. Okay, so let's see.
Auntie.
Sir?
Is this not your son?
He is, sir.
What happened to him? Why is he banded like a ninja?
Sir? He's Dominion. He's Dominion, no.
Dominion? How? What happened?
Sir, I was in the class this morning. I gave you a simple test this morning, which all of you did well. But one idiot in this class wrote rubbish. One stupid idiot in this class wrote nonsense and failed woefully. Now open your books and check your scores. The question was, mention any fruit or vegetable that can make you cry. Isn't it?
It is.
You, what is your score?
20 marks.
And what was your answer?
Onions.
Onions. You, what is your score?
20 marks.
What was your answer?
Pepper.
Pepper. Very good. You, what is your score?
20 marks.
What was your answer?
Onion.
Onions. You all got it correct. Clap for yourselves. Dominion, Uche.
Yes, aunts.
Step out. Face the class. What is your score?
0. You even do my head here.
Now, the question was, mention any fruit or vegetable that can make you cry. And what did you write?
Coconut.
Class, can coconut make someone cry?
No.
Shame, shame, shame.
Shame.
She's a coconut.
Egg.
I'm going to flog you. Dominion, I'm going to flog you 6 strokes of cane. Bring out your hand.
But that coconut can make somebody
Shut
cry.
up! Which coconut can make someone cry? How can coconut make someone cry? Bring out your hand. Oh yeah, bring out your hand. Bring it out. This is your witchcraft tiny hand that doesn't feel anything. How can coconut make you cry? Small winch. Coconut can make someone cry. How can coconut make you cry? Oh yeah.
But that coconut can make somebody cry.
My friend, go to your seat and sit down. Look at how you look like premature coconuts. Small winch.
Jesus!
Hey.
Dominion! How could you do that to your teacher's son?
They say coconut cannot make somebody cry. Now he's not crying. He's not crying. And you better go and give me my 20 mark.
Eh?
You better go and give me my 20 mark. Or let this school not enter all of us. You people to just try me and see. Facts. See, you people to better go and give me my 20 mark. If not, everybody in this school cry. You think I'm playing? You people to try me and see. Try me. You do want to try me.
Okay, so we've gone through that comedy. Now, somebody could say what concerns this comedy with the whole appraisal process. Okay, so I need some people to talk to me on these 2 cases. So let's say the teacher is the HR manager and Success of whatever her name is, Dominion is the staff. What do you think could have been the problem between how the teacher viewed what Dominion had to say? Please, I need us to just your own take. Now, we are looking at it as a comedy, but I want us, because these things actually happen in the work environment. You have HR staff, you have perhaps HR managers, and you have managers generally intimidating staff, and you have staff going extra mile to justify their claims and justify their cases. Now, just for 30 seconds for each of the things we want to say, can you draw a similitude between what happened in this comedy and what happens in real life in the business world? All right, so I have Mr. Davison. So Mr. Davison, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, I think what happened here is the case of the fact that the teacher is trying to measure our own weight with the child's weight, which is quite a distance. The child actually has a own perspective. So the judgment of the teacher is based on the way she thinks it's supposed to be done or what answer that she has in mind, not necessarily taking into perspective how the child perceives the situation.
All right, thank you so much. All right, Mr. Oludolakwo, what is your own take on this? Please, you can unmute from your end, sir. Mr. Oludolakwo, can you please unmute from your end if you are to say something? Okay, while Mr. Ludulakwa is trying, Infinix Hot 5, your line is open. Can you just unmute from your end and let's hear what you have to say? Infinix Hot 5. Okay, Infinix Hot 5, is your network also having issue? Okay, let's try to unmute from our end because, all right, Nkechi Ilohalo. Nkechi Ilohalo. Oh, are you really raising your hand?
I think Infinix Hot 5 was able to unmute just now. Can you please unmute now?
Okay, I think Oladulakwa is also open. So, Mr. Oladulakwa, can you say something?
Oh, all right. Actually, I actually don't want to comment on this. I was raising my hand for the previous question, but I'll just say something on this. And what I see is sometimes employee performance, we need to ask questions before we decide to rate an employee. You know, some employee, you discover that they do something in a way that they feel, okay, this thing is correct, irrespective of probably the instruction given to them by the manager or by whoever. Because sometimes the manager can be very corny and give you an instruction that would be detriment to your performance. So sometimes you think rightly and say, okay, let me do this thing this way. And then it brings out the correct result for you. But at looking at that short skit, discover that the teacher just appraised the lady immediately. The girl, she never asks, why did you do this thing this way?
All right. Okay. Thank you. I think you've hit the nail. You've hit the hammer on the nail. I love that. She didn't go further to find out why it's that way. All right, Mehenshaw, you want to say something? Mehenshaw.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yes, please. Okay. Fortunately, I'm a HR person in a school environment, so I can relate with what you just showed us now.
All right.
There's something called open-ended questions, which a teacher normally should know about. Meaning, there are so many answers to a particular question you may throw to a particular class, and you need to wait to hear the reason why a child actually is giving a particular answer, which the teacher didn't do. And then her attitude is so wrong. You don't go labeling children. She was calling the child all sorts of names, which can have a negative effect on that child, self-esteem and the likes of it. If I was in that situation as a HR manager, I would fire her instantly.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I think I will take just 2 more persons, and I will go. All right. I will go from the list. Mr. Orelaja, you're welcome. Please, do you have something to say to this?
Yes, sir. Hello, okay. Are you with me?
Yes, sir. Please, we are with you.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
I'm looking at it as an education administrator.
Okay.
Number one thing, what kind of questions you ask students? One, always avoid closed-ended questions. Allow the children to explore their environment. Avoid yes or no questions, because it will limit the students. It will not make them to think. Let our children have a wide scope in answering questions. What the girl has just done is what we call evidence-based thinking. Evidence-based thinking. Is that okay? You are limited to what you do. Now let me break your head with the coconut. Whether you will cry.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, though these kids, it was done in a school environment, but can you bring this down to the normal organizations? There are no schools. There are so many products that have died with poor appraisal. A staff tries to say, okay, I think this can work, and you just shut the staff down and be like, this is not what we are standing for and the likes. And that staff most often may leave and enter another company, and that product he or she had wanted to initiate from your company, but due to poor appraisal, he left your organization, and now that product has become a major competitor to your own product. So many companies have actually crumbled due to poor sense of appraisals. All right. Now, in HR management, I will say this, and I will need us to understand this very well. I'm putting emphasis on this these last things that were said: job analysis, job design, job description, job specification. I'm putting attention on these areas because when I started the first class today, I think I was the one that introduced this class. One of the things I said is that the importance of HR lies on the ability of the HR to first design a good organizational system, design a good organizational structure, and then having to also have the processes that will help him or her recruit the right people to the organization. And at the end of the day, what we say that HR was aiming at was employee fulfillment and management fulfillment. So there should be fulfillment from both employee and the employer, right? Now, if we were to take the two parties involved as employer and employer, so Dominion being the employer and the teacher being the, Dominion being the employee and teacher being the employer, we'll find out that there was no fulfillment in such. Okay, so Mr. Orella just said it's evidence-based thinking, right? So I don't think it should only be applied to students. It should also be applied in management. Staff should be given the opportunity to think out new innovations. And our appraisals should not stop their, some organizations, their systems does not facilitate creative thinking. And I'm saying that with all humility and all experience I've seen. Some organizations does not support, they will tell you this, their structure is what we call a control structure. So you don't bring in and you don't take out. Okay, so if the answer is, or if you're supposed to score 20 and you're scoring 0, you're out of the gate. And that's not really performance, as it were. Okay, thinking out of the box. Yeah, Mr. Michael Adeyemi, thank you. He said they are thinking without the boss. Okay, so we have to put all these things into place. Now, for the past, how many months now? Is it up to 1 month? I've been working on a project, and that project is to design the job descriptions of the board of directors of a particular company. I've been having a series of meetings with the organization online. Now, to actually have to design the board of directors job roles and description, or to perform a job design for people in that category, the appraisal you give to those people via the work you're creating, the performance target you're going to be setting for them, will obviously be different from the performance you're setting or the job design you're setting for people in the middle management. And if you're permitted to do the all-round and company-wide job design, you'll find that level 1, level 2, level 3, like we have on the corporate ladder, by default we have the low-level management, the middle-level management, and the high-level management, or the top management. So if you're to do appraisal for all, you'll find that level 1 is different, level 2 is different, and level 3 is different. So when you're creating a job design, or when you're going in for a job design, you should first of all make sure that there is a good organizational design first. Because if you have good job design without good corporate design, that there will be the congruence will be very poor. There will be no matchability between the two. You have good job design and poor organizational design. Let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. In such a case where there is good job design and poor organizational design, when you want to run performance appraisal, some people will want to be excused. Okay, some people want to be excused. You see top management be like, okay, this appraisal is not really for us. Can you do that for the low management? Okay, then get worse. All right. Whenever it comes to the point of appraisal not being an all-round thing, then there is a case. There is a very big problem. So having said that, also, the senior management or the top management must allow staff at the low level to exhibit their creative and innovative abilities towards new product development. We mustn't follow the status quo. Okay, we mustn't follow the status quo, and that is very, very important. we must pay attention to that. All right, that being said, I would say thank you so much for listening. So let me see if I have something to say. I would like to end my class by 6 o'clock so that we can all go and rest. I would like to end my class by 6 o'clock. So please, if you have questions, feel free to ask us, and take care of all of that. So let's look at the hiring strategies followed by organizations. Hiring strategies followed by organizations. By the time we get to level 2, we also look at other hiring strategies, and we look at the hiring policies and all of them in level 2. Okay, so hiring strategies, basically we look at that as recruitment exercises. And I will go back to the same thing I will always say. If you're a HR, your first assignment is to have a good organizational design. Okay, organizational design. So your structures, your systems, your policies, your standards, they need to be in check. I think someone was asking a question today where he said he was the first teacher to get to a school, and at the end of the day, his benefits are denied him or something like that. Okay, so if there is a good organizational design, those kind of things will not happen. And just like Dr. Rolayo and Dr. Chidike answered, these cases are cases of verbal contracts, and verbal contracts are not legal contracts. So in a case of hiring and hiring strategies, we must make case of legal contracts, not verbal contracts, if you don't want to lose the benefits that accrue to you. Okay, and the same thing applies to everyone. Okay, don't just go to verbal contract. Okay, they say, okay, come and do this thing for me. We'll discuss terms and conditions later. And you go ahead and do it. Maybe a project of 5 million naira. At the end of the day, we are now begging, can you collect 100,000 naira? Because it was a verbal contract. Okay, and as it is important to always know that the number one tools, or perhaps the number one asset, the lifeline of every business is in the people in the business or in the people in the organization. But not just the people as it were, but the quality of the people in the business or in the organization. There is a theory that we call the resource-based view theory in HR. We're going to look at that in level 2. The resource-based view theory. What does the resource-based view theory say? The resource-based view theory states that the capacity of an organization is dependent on the summation of the individual capacities of the people in the organization. The capacity of an organization is the sum total of the summation of the individual capacities within the organization. So if you see an organization that is high performing, it means that it has high performing staff. If you see an organization that is moderately performing, it means that it has moderately equipped staff. Then you have organizations that are low performance staff. Organizations with low performance, it simply means that these organizations have low staff with low capacity to perform. All right. So what that therefore means is that in hiring, in recruitment, as it were, we must make sure that we have the right mix of people in the organization. I will repeat this again. I will repeat this again so that you understand me. So that we don't get it one way and the other way will not get it. The first thing that we must pay attention to is the organizational design before you come to talking about job design, than before you go to hiring people. If you have a good job design and you have highly qualified staff to take care of the job you're bringing in, but your organizational design is poor, obviously everything is going to end up poor. If you have a very good organizational design and have a very good job design, then you have poorly equipped staff. Yes, results might be poor, but it's easy to get those people out and get another one, or perhaps get to develop those people to suit into your system to be able to produce better results. So what am I trying to say? If the organizational design is right and the job design is right, you can easily build up human capacity to fit into the system. But if the organizational design is wrong and the job design is wrong, even if you have the highest professors and the highest professionals in the world coming into the wrong system, okay, it is difficult to have results. And we've all been talking about office politics and all of that. I've said this before in one of my classes. There is nothing wrong with office politics. Politics is part of human existence, and there is nothing wrong with politics. But where there could be something wrong with politics is where the politics is having negative effects. All right? In promotion, we need politics to promote. In moving someone to, okay, getting a new director into an organization, we need politics to do that. But those politics don't need to be negative politicking to affect the organization, all right? So in hiring, as it were, we must look at the principles of contingent rule and the principles of best fit. And what's the principles of the contingent rule? The principles of the contingent rule is that whoever you're hiring should match the systems you have, and they should be able to they should have the capacity to deliver the results that your job design had gone through to put in place. All right, and the same thing applies to the best fit, the law of the best fit. All right, the best fit talks about that you should having designed your job and having designed your system and the organizational designs, you should have people with the right set of skills, the right set of knowledge, the right set of competencies at the right time, at the right cost, at the right place for the right job. Okay, those things are the simple principles that we put in place when going for hiring in organizations. And like I've been saying so many things within these few seconds I've spent, but let me quickly say that hiring at low level management may differ from the techniques may differ from hiring in the middle level management, and the techniques may differ from hiring in the top level management. So quickly, let's see if we have something there. Okay, let's look at these hiring strategies that we have here. You have hiring can take place in many ways and at many levels, such as hiring can be for entry-level positions or lateral hiring where people with experience are taken on board. Okay, so you can have the entry-level positions, people without experience. Then you have the lateral hiring experience, people with experience. So people with experience versus people without experience. So in most cases, we can do hiring based on experience. Okay, then you have also further hiring people can be based on competitive exams, like we have the GMAT, we have the GRE, and other tests, cognitive test approaches that we use to determine the suitability of an individual for an organization. Now, in recent times, hiring for the entry level has taken on an entirely new dimension with the campus recruitment procedures that rely on getting the best talent available from the campuses. All right, so we still have that in place today, where we have all those first class, second class, upper. Okay, we still have organizations that do such after writing the job description and everything on the job specification or the person specification. They say first class or 2-1. All right, so you could use such approaches as well. But it's important for us to also notice that cognitive abilities does not necessarily mean performance. Intellective knowledge, intellective abilities does not create equivalence to result. All right, so we also have to put attention to that so that we understand all these differences. The other way of hiring is through selective approach, where the staffing department entrusts the placement consultant with the task of identifying potential employees by picking profiles from employee databases and consultants' own database as well. So now we talk about the HR outsourcing, headhunting. So we can also do recruitment by headhunting, contractual agreement between the HR outsourcing company or outsourcing consultant versus the company who wants a new staff, and then that can also be handled. Then the most niche hiring takes place at senior levels, where the essence is discreteness, and hence dedicated consultant or HR professionals approach people at higher levels on a one-on-one basis. There is a level you'll get to in the organization you don't apply for jobs. Jobs come to look for you. If you're looking for top executives, if you're looking for business directors, you don't go advertising that on newspaper. You don't go advertising that on social media. You won't get the right set of people. To get the right set of people at the top level management, you have to meet them one-on-one and discuss with them. Okay, and most often they want to know the vision, the goals, the mission, and the objectives of your organization before they think whether they are coming in or not. And for some of them that are shareholding executives, they will also want to know the power that they will have as shareholders or stakeholders in the company. So the hiring strategies run from the low level up to the top management, and we've discussed how we can go about all of this. All right. So if you're hiring for entry, you could use the experience or non-experience based levels for your recruitment. If you're hiring for senior levels, you could use a HR consultant who will go on interviewing people or meeting people with the right profiles that the organization needs. Now, let's quickly look at the components of the hiring process. We have the interview. And I think I've said so much about the hiring of people already. Interview is simple, but emotional bias can lead us to recruit the wrong people. Interview is simple, but emotional bias, the number one error in interview is emotional bias. As soon as the interviewee get the interviewer on emotional basis, the interviewer can take any decision based on emotional bias. And that's why we encourage for structured interview. We encourage for structured interview. All right. And that is very, very important. Now, whatever is the hiring strategy that is deployed, the essential component of the process remain more or less the same. This includes choosing from the available candidates, taking a decision as to pay and pegs, making an offer, and finally getting them on board. The hiring process ranges from less than a month or so to drawn out affairs for niche placement. The strategic imperatives that underpin hiring depend on the ability of the organization to effectively leverage on its reputation, flexibility in the roles that are available, availability of skilled resources, and finally, the package that the organization will be offering to everyone that is coming to take on the job. In level 2, we will also take much time looking at the recruitment process, creating better judgments and creating better interview structures that can help us get the right set of people. Now, I said the term fitment is often used in HR as often used as a HR jargon. Okay, so I've been saying so much about best fit. Okay, so whether you call it best fit or you call it fitment, the core essence of fitment or best fit practice is to have the right people for the right job. And when we say right people for the right job, that means the job is well designed, the descriptions, the person specifications are well designed. Then when I say the right people, we are simply saying that the people have the right knowledge, the right abilities, the right competencies, the right behavior to be able to suit into the opportunity or the vacancy that is open. So the law of best fit is having the right people for the right jobs, all right? And that is what interview is actually trying to do. How do we get the right people for the right job, okay? Let me look at the various retention strategies. I have 7 more minutes, so round up. Retention strategies. Any employee retention strategy will necessarily include a plan for redressing employee grievances and ways and means to address employee issues. This would mean that employees are able to convey their issues regarding pay, their work, their role, etc. to the HR manager for each division and expect to get a fair hearing in the process. There should be a plan where the HR manager works in conjunction with the grieved employee's manager towards resolving the conflict. Okay. In a nutshell, to have a well-prepared retention strategy, we must have these components in them. And I'm going to mention the component, and I will call it a day. Thank you so much. The first component is job rotation. I don't know whether I've mentioned job rotation today. But if you really want to have a very good retention plan, you should have a plan where you could easily rotate your staff from one job to another. It has been argued over time that job rotation reduces efficiency. Well, for a while it does, because the person you're trying to rotate will want to learn the new place you're bringing him or her. But as soon as you get your team to become a dynamic team, it is easy to get them retained, and it's easy also to get them placed in the right places where they have the maximum results. All right. Then we have the grievance redressal system or the conflict management system. If there is a conflict within an organization and it's not taken care of, those conflicts will result to internal problems, internal organizational problems. So we must have grievance redressal system, a good conflict management system that can always allow people to communicate their points and also get them the justice that they need. Okay, and with that, it's easy for people to get retained. Then another component is mitigating job dissatisfaction, or as much as you can ensure that there is high level job satisfaction, even if it's not 100%. Ensure that there is a high level of job satisfaction. With that, employees are willing to stay behind and get the work that you want to be done to get done. Okay, so on this last point, I mentioned something when I introduced this course in the morning, and that is employee experience. Employee experience. If we have higher job satisfactions, it's actually going to be a product of higher employee experience. Okay, so your intention in the retention strategy is to increase the employee experience. Have a roadmap that will improve employee experience, and when employee experience is better off, employees really want to stay, because people love care, people love attention, people love to be respected, people love to be honored. And if all these components are found in employee experience, people love integrity. Even people that lack integrity, they love integrity. Okay, even people that are not sincere, they love people that are sincere. So your own is not to be the one that like integrity but not practicing integrity. You should find yourself in that shoe of integrity. Henshaw said something while she was answering one of the questions or making a contribution. She spoke about ethical leadership, right? She spoke about ethical leadership. It is important we pay attention to things like that in organizations. When we say yes, we mean yes. When we say no, we mean no. When we create the differences, when we have the standards and the staff or the employees are okay with that, please, your assignment is to make sure that you improve the experience, not to reduce the experience. If they have better employee experience, they will stay. If they have poor employee experience, they want to go. All right? And I think my time is up. Okay, I still have 3 minutes, but I think I will stop here. Thank you so much for your time. And if Dr. Rola, you're still in the house, please, you can continue from here. We'll take questions and then we can go and have some rest.
I'm still in the house. Thank you, Dr. Banito. That was brilliant. I'm sure everybody has been served a lot of value this afternoon or this evening, and everybody has learned a lot of good things. The video was comical, but lots of insight came out of there. How you can limit people, how you can reduce people's imagination, and how you can reduce people's innovation, making them think inside the box, not outside the box. And he talked about how ethical leadership, he mentioned quite a few things that we can all relate with in our job lives. So does anybody have any other question? I can see 2 hands up. I don't know if their hands are up from the last set of questions or if they have questions now. So please, if you have questions now, please, can you put up your hands? If you don't have any questions, please, can you just bring it by your hands so that we'll know who we are talking to right now. So,
okay, let's see whether Mr. Oludulako has a question. Mr. Nubi, do you have a question? Mr. Nubi, oh, did he mute back himself? Mr. Nubi, do you have a question? All right. I think I'm seeing Pastor Ifoma.
Yeah.
No, you're amazing. Okay, Pastor Ifoma, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for the teaching, both in the morning and this evening. They are very, very insightful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But my question, how can we get the audio or video recording?
Okay, so much. I love that question. I think someone asked me in the morning, are they permitted to record? I say, yes, you can go ahead and record from your own end. If the option for recording is there, of which I think it should be, please just go ahead and do your recording. And like I also said in the morning, these classes are hours and hours of lecture, so it's not something we can just work on in 1 day or 1 week. It takes us time to get these things done, but as soon as we get them done, that's why we are saying, everyone, please get make sure that you are in the WhatsApp group. So even if we have not edited, we can send the rough copy. You can send the raw copy there. You can download. Okay, we will not put up the raw copy on our website, but we can put up the raw copy or the raw classes on the WhatsApp group. There you can go ahead and get the free copies from there. I think that would make sense.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
Mr. Luro.
Mr. Solomon Rabo.
Before I go to Mr. Solomon Rabo, I think Mr. Luro, please, can you go ahead?
Okay, just a quick one.
Okay, sir.
Hanson made a comment that I think should be addressed, which has to do with performance management and performance appraisal. I think some people might actually be thinking that they are the same thing, which they are not. The other one I want to say here is that quite a number of people employed in Nigeria, quite a number of people don't have a contract, which is one of the experience that my brother was sharing, who started up in a school business. And if you have started up a school business, that means there is need for you to also think of the others that will follow suit. If there is if there is no contract and there is no appraiser indices that will be used, then there will be conflict, there will be issues. So I think there is need for people to know that getting a job is not just the in thing, but know why you are getting the job and what is your responsibility and your employer's responsibility. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Mr. Luro, please, before you go, you consult on HR matters, right?
Even though I'm not an HR expert, but I would say HR generalist based on the kind of job I do.
Okay, so based on
a number of issues come up when we have a contract on HR that we have to work with some experts on some of these issues that have been raised today.
All right. Thank you so much.
Dr.
Okay,
Manito,
so
he raised the question. What's the difference between performance management and performance appraisal?
I don't know why the voice is very faint. Is it from my own end or from your own end?
Oh, I think. Sorry.
Okay, I can hear you better now.
I think he raised the question of what's the difference between performance management and performance appraisal. He wants an explanation.
Okay. Thank you. I forgot he mentioned something like that. Okay, performance management is actually different from performance appraisal. And although there is a course specifically for performance management in this class, so if you would not mind, I think we'll push till when we get to the performance management as a course. Level 1 has performance management, level 2 has performance management, level 3 has performance management. Appraisal is essentially trying to find out if the work that was said to be done was done and properly done, effectively and efficiently. So we are trying to find the level of work that has been done. That's performance appraisal. And that will determine how much will be paid. Then when it comes to performance management, it's different from performance appraisal. When we look at performance management in the organizational perspective, first, from the performance management, we have to first of all have standards, we have goals, we have visions, we have all the work that need to be done. That's one. Then we must develop matrices of what we really call performance. So how do we know what is performing and what is not performing? In a business setup, let me use a business setup as a case. Like I said in the morning, we have 9 components of a business. If you're doing performance management, you should find the key drivers within the 9 components. So in this case now, it's not performance appraisal, but performance management. Okay, so you need to pay attention to your key drivers and your key indicators and all of that. So as we proceed to the class tomorrow, we'll have all the time to look at the performance management, and then we'll answer more questions from there. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody was typing in the chat room. He said, my name is Ishmael Hot5. I said, I have a question. Okay, so Ishmael, please, if you're okay, can you unmute from your end? Please, I will take 5 more minutes and we'll call it a day. I want us to rest so that we can have more energy for tomorrow's class.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Ishmael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just want to salute you for your presentation. I've been so much blessed with your presentation. But I have a little conflict about human resource management today in our system or in Africa, because you see an advert in a newspaper that there's a recruitment going on so in company, but you realize that that is an formality. Before you get there, people are being already employed based on affiliations and other things. So I just want to know, how is that done? Is it true by the management decision, or is just by the HR themselves did their own thing?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ishmael, all the way from Ghana. That's awesome. Good to have you again here. All right. Well, I'm a Nigerian and I'm an African, but I think I'm more Nigerian than any other nationality in Africa. So I may not really know what apply in other African countries, but sometimes when we speak, we try to generalize Africans, like this is what happens in Africa. And I think that's why some countries call Africa a country, okay, because it seems as though we have the same mindset and the likes. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that happened to one of our trainees like this in the course, and we'll find out whether it's actually in an African mentality or is real, right? So this young man, he studied electrical engineering from one of the prestigious universities in Nigeria, and he came to us and wanted to take a course in health, safety, and environment to help him in his career. And during that class, like I always tell them, don't let the traditional system affect your career advancement, because whatever thing we think of has a very huge role to play. They, we have what we call the law of attraction. For him, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. And whatever thing we constantly think of, that's what we attract, right? Now, this young man finished his training, and he was going through the streets of Abuja, and he saw this vacancy from a National Agency for Space and Research, called him NASDRA. Now, he saw the advert, and the advert said, go and drop your CV at the boss in front of the gate. So he quietly went and dropped his CV, as well as others who went and dropped their CV. Now, funny enough, that young man didn't know anybody there. Funny enough, he was just a fresh graduate. And the funniest of all is that he got that job without knowing anybody. Okay, the last time we spoke, is it commissioned now? Now, the agency sent him on a training in Germany. Okay, a safety training in Germany. All right, but he didn't know anyone. He just followed instruction. So most often, and also I see some of us when they say application ends in 5 days time, some of us will bring the application either the 5th day or the 6th day, and we still want to have recognition. And that being said, I may not really know much about all the countries in the world, but I know in most of the African countries, unemployment is very high. So when you say we have 10 vacancies, before you finish saying we have 10 vacancies, you would have received 1 million vacancies. For a case in Nigeria, if we have any federal government opening in Nigeria, that website will always crash. Okay, we have such cases right here in Nigeria. Anytime they say federal government appointment open, I remember the time NIMC was doing their own this thing. That particular night, I was going to train in a particular company. So I entered the car where someone was going for the NIMC recruitment. The next day, we heard that about 18 people died from NIMC. Okay, you have mad volumes of people coming for a job vacancy of 200 people. Over 4 million people applying for a job vacancy of 200 people. How would the director of HR even start with that kind of recruitment? So in most cases, it's not really about the eye service. It's not really about whether it's done right or not. The volumes of vacancy that comes in is tremendous. And also, some of the people within the organization, they already have the information beforehand. So they can actually tell people they feel are qualified before the vacancy even comes up. So before the vacancy comes up, there are already applications already on ground. Okay, so I don't think there should be some kind of bias when it comes to recruitment. All right. Okay. Do I still have time? Oh, my time is up. Dr. Olayo, please. Yes, please. Yes.
I want to even add something to just add to what you said for just a minute. In my career, I've worked with telecoms, worked with logistics. I've been headhunted almost all through my career. I never apply for jobs in that sense. People just hear about me. They talk about you behind your back. Someone is talking about, this guy is a performer in this place. Can we see him? Can you give us his number? So the truth of the matter is that let's not put so much emphasis on people must know. Look, if you are a performer, if your performance speak, somebody will hear about you.
That's right.
Because every employer wants the very best so that he wants to work with the best. He wants quality. So if your performance is speaking, not only will your company know about you, but outside your company will know about you. So I think the emphasis there should be to make sure that you get to a point where you are being headhunted. Your performance should get to a point where you are being headhunted. And let's forget about all this bribery or settlements or sentiments involved. If you're a real performer, everybody will look for you.
All right. So Dr. Olayo, I want to take my bow from now. Okay. So I don't know whether you have an announcement or whatever.
Well, yes. If you go through our, if you go to IIPM, www.iipmi.com, you will see our timetable for all our courses.
.org.
Sorry, www.iipmi.org, and you go to the courses, the COVID-19 courses. You will see this course there, and then you will see the timetable and everything. Please check it, confirm, so you are on time and you know the time for every course, so you won't need to struggle. Also, if you have any issues, you have any questions, personal, you can actually talk to us on our WhatsApp group, and we'll be ready to answer your questions. It's going to be opened, the admin is going to open for anyone to make comments and any kind of thing, any kind of questions they want. So we hope to see you tomorrow. The course continues. This is an important course, and I want everyone to take it very serious. And if you are doing any other course, because we saw some people in different courses with us today. We saw some people in PMP, we saw some people in HSC. If you just continue to learn and grow and ensure that you get your certifications, because there must be proof that you can do all these things. You must be able to show proof that you can achieve all these things. So thank you again. Hope to see you tomorrow. It's been a long day. Dr. Barnetto, thank you very much. Dr. Chidike, thank you very much. Thank you also. So on behalf of my Dr. Benito and Chidike and myself, I'd like to thank you too for coming, everybody. See you tomorrow. Have a good day.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Olayo. Please, before we go, please, if you're not in the WhatsApp group, please, can you raise your hand up? If you're not in the WhatsApp group, can you raise your hand up? Let's be sure that everyone is in that group. We'll open the class for interactions, or we'll open the group for interactions. And please, if you need your manual, please go to ipmi.org/store. You'll get your manuals there. Okay, so everyone is in the group. Pastor Ifoma, are you in the WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Okay, so your hand is up.
Your hand is up.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll have a great day, and if you still have people who you think should be part of this class, please don't hesitate to get them to be part of this class. I am so much impressed with those of us that attended the executive leadership course, and you are here. Andrew Luro, Pastor Ifoma, Mr. Oche Patrick, Dr. Nyakoti, Mr. Ishmael, and so many others, Chris Amaji.
Chris Amaji is here.
Yes, Chris Amaji, and I have my wonderful friend Kempela City Props. Oh, very soon, come and give us one house in VI. All right. So what? And Mehenshaw also came around. Thank you so much. I also have Kingsley Aban. He was there. Oludulakwo. I think since this year this is the third class he's taking with us. He has done emotional intelligence. He has done executive leadership, and he's here again today. So you're welcome, sir. Okay, I'm also seeing Sianu Bright. I'm seeing Philip Kime, and so many others. So we want to say a very big thank you. Oh, I'm also seeing Theophilus Kagbere. You're welcome. And I'm also seeing Mr. Orelaja. Thank you so much for coming. All right, so we'll meet tomorrow and we'll communicate the time. The time is already on the timetable. Oh, I saw Damilola somewhere. Damilola, you didn't say anything in this class. Have you withdrawn from being a consultant?
I'm fine. I'm with you, sir.
I also want to acknowledge May Henshaw. She made some fantastic contributions.
Yes. I've also seen Darren Naji is in this class. And Chukwa Gosiem had been following all the classes right from executive leadership, and he did safety, he did HR, he's doing project management. Okay, you're welcome, Chukwa Gosiem, and everyone. We really want to say, please permit me. Ken Pella some times ago had a medical issue. Mr. Kempela, how are you doing? Mr. Kempela, are you there? Oh, all right. So on this note, I would like to say thank you so much, and let's meet tomorrow. Please, if you paid for your manuals and you've not gotten them, please, we'll get your manuals to you this night. And if you still want to pay for manuals, please go ahead, go to the store and get your manuals. Thank you so much, and enjoy a wonderful evening. See us tomorrow.